Generally, look, we be aiming there, get them up to, I suppose, around 500 kilos there, around 12 months, and then we push them on, I suppose, hopefully to finish them in around 670 to 700 kilos. Some of them might be a shade less than that, some of them be more than that, but we'd be aiming for that, and the carcass weight probably in around, last year they averaged just like 389 kilos, so we try to aim to get them around 400 kilos. The bulls last year finished around 14 months, so look, it's good performance for young cattle.
Hello and welcome to the Beef Edge, the Teagasc Beef Podcast, for all your latest news, information and advice for Irish beef farmers. I'm Catherine Egan and I'm joined by McWeeney and Noel Prunty in Teagasc Ballyhaise Agricultural College to discuss the beef system, review of the year to date and preparing for the winter ahead. Liam and Noel, you're both very welcome. Liam, can you start by giving an overview of the beef system in Ballyhaise?
We're running a suckler herd of around 32 cows. We're bringing everything through to beef, and I suppose that's on a grazing block of around 24 hectares, split into two parcels. Land type, I suppose, is fairly mixed. We have some good dry land. I suppose the problem with that is it's a bit on it's more a bit on the hilly side. We're in drumlin country here in Cavan, and then we'd have low lying ground along the river. The Annalea River flows through the farm here in Ballyhaise. So look, at that can be challenging, and it's probably a lower type land, and it's not very suitable for the shoulders of the year in terms of grazing. What we're doing then, I suppose, with the cows, we're bringing around 32 cows, as I said, and we're bringing the male calves through on a bull beef system, and whatever heifers we don't use for replacements will be finished approximately in around 19-20 months. So that's the system we're running there.
That's great, Liam, and the fact it is a heavy type soil, Noel, that is a challenge to the system. How has the year gone to date?
Now, we did struggle in the spring. We got our first calved heifers out the grass in early March, but due to snowfall and that, we had to rehouse for maybe a period of 10 days. So we had to introduce meal back into our first calvers just to give them when we were feeding silage during that period. So it was a difficult spring, but in fairness, the breeding went very well. We started breeding there the last days of April, and we bred for 9 weeks. And after 9 weeks, out of the 27 cows that went for breeding, 25 were in calf, and 100% of the heifers went in calf. So we eyed for the first 3 weeks, using, say, maternal bulls, trying to breed their future replacements, and the remainder then of the cows then went out to Charolais stock bull. He's an easy calf and Charolais stock bulls for the remainder. So we quit breeding after 9 weeks, just to try to tighten up the calving period and have all hopefully calved by the end of March.
And how has managing grass gone for you, and how are you managing grass at the moment?
Yeah, so at the moment, we started weaning there the second week of October. So we were gradually weaning them 4 or 5 cows in a batch. So we were housing the cows according to their weaning, and we're leaving the calves in the batch with the batches of the cows in with the batches. So we have nearly all the cows housed at the minute, and we housed our bull calves there just last Tuesday. So and at grass at the minute we have our weanling heifers at grass. So hopefully we get another maybe 10 days at grass with them. And we'll probably have all housed maybe around by the 20th of November annals. Now, a proportion of our farm is low lying and it's prone to flooding. So in conjunction with the O flock and the college farm, they will graze off that ground because it is a very heavy soil type and challenging to graze with cattle at the minute. So we graze that off, and maybe some of the silage ground we intend doing for first cutting in 2025.
That's great, Noel. And Liam, you mentioned there you're operating a bull beef system, and Noel has mentioned there that the bulls have been housed. How are the bulls managed from once they're weaned now at this stage through the winter period?
Yeah, so look at we housed the bulls only there this week, and they came in at an average weight of 368 kilos. So look, they're on target. We aim to be housing them in around 350, and I suppose that's from a range. You're talking bull calves. I think the heaviest calf was 420 kilos back to about 310. So they'll go into the shed at the minute. They're on creep probably since mid-September. We would have introduced creep feeder, and they're eating there about 3 kilos a meal at the minute. We'll keep them on 3 kilos. They'll be on good quality silage, and we'll probably up them gradually to about 5 at around Christmas time, I suppose. Then I suppose going on from that, then I suppose if you how we feed them, or I suppose the system we use is we generally have them on around 5 kilos at Christmas. So the aim there is to try and get them to grow a bit. We don't like pushing them too young. Try and get them to grow a bit of a frame, and then after Christmas we focus on building them up further. So I suppose from January on we'll go up 5. Probably by the 1st of February they'll be up near probably 7 kilos, and then we really start turning them up. They'll go on ad lib probably from mid-February on. And I suppose when they're at their peak in ad lib, they'll be eating somewhere in the region of probably 10 to 12 kilos, and we'll reduce back the silage. We also found the last 2 years there, we also offer them a bit of straw as well, just to, I suppose, with a bit more fibre into the diet and to help with help the rumen work as well, I suppose,
Most definitely. And the key targets, what are you looking for in those bulls to ensure that they are finished on target before 16 months?
A few of the targets you kind of like them to be a minimum at 350 at housing. Now there is a few calves there, I suppose, under three, maybe 320, 330. What we might do with them maybe is castrate some of the lighter ones. We'll make a call on that next week, because it's just too long of a road for them, I suppose, to get them up to 650, 700 kilos even. So we'll make a call on that next week. But generally, look, we'd be aiming there. Get them up to, I suppose, around 500 kilos there, around 12 months, and then we push them on, I suppose, hopefully to finish them in around, 670 to 700 kilos. Some of them might be a shade less than that, some of them be more than that, but we'd be aiming for that, and a carcass weight probably in around, last year they averaged just 389 kilos, so we try to aim to get them around 400 kilos. At the bulls last year finished around 14 months. So look, it's good performance for young cattle.
Most definitely fantastic performance, Liam. Noel, you mentioned there that all the cows are housed at the moment. How will the different groups be managed over the coming months?
At the start of weaning, we identified our cows that especially we have all our heifers down at 24 months. So we identified the first calved heifers first, and most of them were probably the cows that was in the lowest body condition scoring. So according to calving date and body condition scoring, we house them in batches of 5 and 6, and the thinner cows, they will get preferential treatment, maybe the first cut silage, the ones that need a bit building up, whereas the remainder of the cows that have good body condition scoring of three or over 3, we kind of can restrict them maybe on second cut silage. And then in terms of the heifers, then we, as I said, mentioned, they're still at grass, but we will house them hopefully in the next coming weeks, and we'll pen them according to weight, and we'll be identifying the heifers that we hope to breed for next year, and we might just feed them stronger than the ones we're actually going to be, so they're hitting the target weights at breeding next May.
And in relation to the heifers that you're finishing, what are the key targets that you're hoping those heifers to achieve up to finishing?
There in the first week of October, we actually done a draft on our beef heifers. So we slaughtered 6 heifers off grass out of a batch of 14 heifers. They will be now Angus cross from our first calved heifers, or they've been Charolais from some of our Angus cross cows. So we have 8 heifers actually housed on the first week of October. So they'll hopefully be slaughtered now come the end of November, early December. At the minute, they're on 6 kilos a ration on ad lib first cut silage. The first cut silage is testing around 75 DMD. We aim to them heifers with one with the other, the average around 350, 360 kilos dead. Now, there will be a range there from some of the heifers that we killed at grass. They're doing more traditional breed types, maybe slaughter weights down at 320, or some of the more continental type heifers or continental cross heifers that will be slaughtered in November. We hope they'll be hitting up in 380 kilos. Or 400 kilos, some of the best performing ones. So they probably will average in around 360 kilos there, 350.
That's great, Noel. And you're also keeping the replacement heifers. Liam, how are the replacement heifers in the herd managed at this stage?
Yeah, I suppose, as Noel said there, they're still at grass. They'll be brought in. We'll kind of pick out the heifers that we'll probably breed next May, and they'll be penned accordingly, and they'll be on good silage and probably around 2 kilos. We like to have growth rates, keep them on target. Probably, you'd be aiming there for probably 0.6, 0.7 kilos. They're on target at the minute in terms of weaning weight, but we'll feed them accordingly. And look at with students here, I suppose they're weighed every month, so we'll be monitoring them quite closely to make sure that they're hitting targets. I suppose very important then to get them out early. The whole key with them is to get them out early and get them settled and get them cycling on grass. To have them cycling for the 1st of May when we start breeding them at 15 months. We found in the past, if them heifers get any bit of a setback, or if they're left too late to turn out, sometimes you might be prioritising maybe cows and calves to go out, and maybe some of them are maybe putting the long finger and they don't get out until maybe late March, early April. We find they're a bit slower to cycle, so we prioritise them and try and get them out as early as we can, and we find they'll cycle a lot quicker. Also then, of course, obviously when we're selecting bulls, the whole thing is easy calving. So we use Angus bulls and the first calved heifers, and we've tried a few sailors as well, which is working quite well as well, easy calving. So the whole idea is get a live calf on the ground without causing any hassle to the heifer.
And you mentioned there how important it is in relation to ensuring these heifers don't get a setback. Particularly good quality silage is key to the system you're operating, be it for these replacement heifers that will be going into the shed now as weanlings, or any of the finishing systems you're operating.
Oh, of course, yeah. So look at, I suppose it's key if you're, especially on suckler farms where you're keeping your weanlings or trying to finish cattle. For this excellent quality silage is essential, really. So we cut the silage here from ground that would have been, say, grazed before Christmas with sheep. So we clean it out fully. And then it was we cut the silage this year on the 12th of May, and it was only tested there. The test came back a few weeks ago. It's at 75 DMD. So look at where we are achieving that top quality silage, and it's a priority for us here in terms of putting weight on young cattle and trying to finish cattle. I think it's essential, and it's definitely from a student point of view here, it's important that we demonstrate how to make that top quality silage.
And Noel, in relation to herd health, it's critical at this time of year when stock are being housed. What is the herd health plan for Ballyhaise now at housing?
Yeah, I suppose in terms of our weanlings, our vaccination started back in the 1st of September when we're doing our second wormer shot. We gave our first vaccine for the Risperdal 2 for a pneumonia, and they got their booster shot then the 1st of October. So we started weaning then 2 weeks after that, mid-October. So that was in terms of our wean, and obviously they got their Clostridial, the black-legged vaccine at turnout as calves. Then in terms of, say, cows coming up now at housing, all stock will be clipped at housing when they're housed, and when we house the last of the stock next week or the week after, all stock will be done for external parasites with a pour on. And then 6 weeks after housing, we hope to do we're prone to fluke here on the farm, so we'll have to go in and do a fluke trench with all the stock and a wormer for the young stock. And we'll also be given some of the scour vaccines at the fluke at that time in, say, early December. This year we've decided to go with the vaccine against crypto. A couple of years ago we would have had outbreaks of crypto in the past, and we have been using, say, Halicure the last number of years, and it's worked very well. But we just think this is a labour saving method, maybe going in using the vaccine this year, and obviously a safety reason that it reduces the amount of people that has to go in to, maybe rather than giving the Halicure, that for the first 7 days it'll be a bit safer by giving the vaccine. So hopefully it'll work well.
Liam and Noel, you've covered an awful lot of information there in the last few minutes. From your experience in the beef system that you're operating in Ballyhaise, what are the top 3 things that's essential in your system, do you think, Liam?
I think, look, a lot of it boils down to, I suppose, grassland management, and I suppose silage quality comes in under that. But we probably didn't touch much on grassland management today with the time of the year. But grassland management is important. Try and get, I suppose, cows milking, trying to get weight on calves, and then with our growing stock or our finishing stock, trying to get them to achieve high levels of average daily gain. We have the whole farm set out in a paddock system, and Noel will do an awful lot of grass measuring, and we'd be very strict about the type of covers cows will be going into. So look at grassland management, I think, is key, and obviously silage quality is part of that, trying to produce that top end silage. Look at, I suppose, the other thing then is genetics and having the right type of genetics. We use a lot of AI breeding, and we're lucky the stock bull we have here at the minute is very good. He's very good figures terminally, and he's very easy calving, so he's working quite well for us. So genetics is important, and I suppose we did a lot of work the last few years on trying to improve fertility and milk in the cows, and we're really starting to see that now. We would have, I suppose, worked a little bit different genetics. We found there the last few years we would have been using a good bit of Angus on the 24-month-old heifers calving, and we would have kept some of them as replacements. And we find, say your Angus heifer coming up, that bigger limousine cemental type cow, we've tried a few of them as suckler cows, and they're working quite well when they're cross back with maybe your terminal sire, your Charolais, especially when we're finishing here, and we're finding they're that little bit easier finished. And even with some of our heifers with that the Angus bloodlines in them, that we're even able to maybe finish some of them off grass. So look at, definitely working with your genetics and trying to get the genetics to suit the system is important. And then look at, I suppose, if you were to go with a third main essential thing, would definitely be herd health. We're very big here on preventative medicine and vaccination and trying to prevent the disease in the first place. In terms of, I suppose, the main disease you're going to be dealing with is scour in calves in the spring and maybe pneumonia this time of the year. And we have both of them covered by vaccination. And, I think if you can manage all them things and definitely manage herd health, I think it's very important, and you have some hope of being profitable.
And finally, for students that's listening that's interested in completing a course or attending an open day in Ballyhaise, where can they find out more, or who can they contact?
Yeah, look at, I suppose we are Online applications will be open for the courses. You can attend. We had an open day only recently here in early October. We'll have another one in the springtime of the year, probably around late February, March. And of course, we're fairly active on all the social media as well there. You can follow us on Facebook or Twitter. We're fairly active on all them. So we get lots of information there.
Thanks very much, Liam and Noel, for joining me on the show and a great insight into the beef system being operated in Ballyhaise. Just a quick reminder that the Teagasc National Beef Conference is taking place on the 19th of November in the Landmark Hotel, Carrigan-Shannon at 5 p.m. We look forward to seeing you all there. You can catch up on all other shows and interviews from the Beef Edge podcast on the Teagasc website at teagasc.ie, or you can listen on Apple and Google Podcasts as well as Spotify. Don't forget to rate, review and subscribe so you never miss a show. For all other updates from our beef programme, keep an eye on our Twitter and Facebook pages. Until next time, I'm Catherine Egan and thanks for listening.